The report of the last commission on Cuyahoga County government reform stated, when a government no longer serves the best interests of the people, then the people must change that government. The structure of our county's government was set by the state legislature in 1807, just 4 years after Ohio became a state. According to the League of Women Voters, that structure has been changed very little since that time. Cuyahoga County government has been the focus of public attention like never before. Our speakers today will address whether it needs change and how to bring it about. My name is Jan Roller. I am president of the City Club of Cleveland. Thank you all for joining us here today. We have 4 speakers today to address this topic of very great interest. It is sponsored by the Cleveland Leadership Center, the local Young Democrats and Republicans Club. But I want to get started right away to give our speakers time to share their thoughts with you and time for you to ask your questions. So I'll turn the program over to our moderator, Dan Moulthrop, host of WCPN's Sound of Ideas. Dan?
Thank you, Jan. And thank you all for joining us here at the City Club of Cleveland. It's great to see all of you. And also, thanks to all of you who are joining us online at the City Club's website. This is streaming live right now, and later on in the program, we expect to receive a few questions from that audience via Twitter. But right now, let me get to some introductions. Mayor Martin Zannotti is mayor of Parma Heights. He's representing the new Cuyahoga Now program, or plan. And next to him is Harriet Applegate. She's the executive secretary of the North Shore Federation of Labor. She is representing Real Reform Done Right. Mayor Eric Brewer of East Cleveland is with us as well, and he's a member of the Democratic Party and also a strong critic of some of the reform proposals. And also with us, Rob Frost from the Cuyahoga County GOP, where he is chairman. So how this is going to work, we'll get 2.5 minutes from each of the panelists to start off to kind of frame the issue. And then I have a handful of questions that will take us up through the first half of the program. The second half of the program is when we turn it over to your questions. So without further ado, Mayor Zannotti, get us started.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to tell you how excited I am to know that I finally made it to YouTube. And I didn't have to leap off a building, or I was sober at the time I made it, so I'm very happy for that. I'm very pleased to be representing New Cuyahoga Now. We need reform in Cuyahoga County, and we need it now. That's why we're all here today. But before we talk about the how, I'd like to share with you some of the whys that our group has worked on. There's a couple facts that are clear. We have to reverse the direction of this county. We have to bring jobs to our region. And we've got to make sure that the government that runs our county is streamlined, that it's accessible, and quite frankly, it's efficient. Now, this isn't a discussion today about change just for the sake of change, because we believe what has to change is the purpose of county government. It's got nothing to do with people. It's got to do with what its purpose is. Our group believes that we need to change the purpose of our county government, and to do that, at the core of everything that we've done, what we did first before we talked anything about structure, is we developed a set of principles as to what this county government should be all about. And there's 6. They should be about job creation and economic growth, effective and accountable leadership, a competitive position for Northeast Ohio in a global economy, improved focus on equity for all communities, collaborative leadership with the public and private sectors, and finally, significant taxpayer savings by streamlining positions and eliminated unnecessary elected positions. And all the work that we've done, these principles have been at the core. Now, let me just say that reform is not something that's happened overnight. Our work has been the result of over 15 years' worth of study in Cuyahoga County. And it's not by coincidence that economic development is the first principle, because Cleveland and its suburbs must be able to work in a new and cooperative manner to meet the global challenges that we face. If we're going to bring all of these principles to reality, we believe we have to create a new government structure, and it has to be one that has a single county executive who'll function like a mayor, and a city council or a county council that will represent fairly drawn districts. Why this structure? Well, first, it creates the separation between the executive and legislative branch, which quite frankly is not in county government today. Decisions will be discussed and votes will be taken in public. Residents will be able to attend meetings and they'll be actually able to be heard on issues. Secondly, a single county executive will provide us with leadership and direction that we so sorely need. And this streamlined government organization will provide for significant cost savings, ethical standards in guiding and purchasing human resources, contracting, and fair treatment of all employees. Now, the council will provide a series of checks and balances that are so sorely missing in government today. And the council members will have significant authority. They'll approve the budget, they'll have legislative and departmental director approval, they'll create fair standards and governing practices, and they will provide a system of financial checks and balances. We believe we've done our work well and the time is now, and we ask for the support of all in reform. Thank you.
Mayor Zannotti, thank you very much. Harriet Applegate.
Good morning, good afternoon. The slate running for the Charter Commission is committed to an open, inclusive, and transparent process in order to come up with a new charter to govern our county. We want real reform done right. Our slate of 15 has publicly pledged to 5 things, 5 items, 5 commitments. 1, to fulfill our constitutional obligation to craft a county charter. 2, to do so through an open, transparent, and inclusive process that will give every concerned citizen a chance to be heard. 3, to offer a charter with real substantive change that will facilitate economic development. 4, to place a charter on the November 2010 ballot. And 5, to commit to not seeking election in 2012 to any of the positions which the charter creates. And that is why we call our campaign Real Reform Done Right. We believe that the citizens of this county deserve a choice and a voice. We are seeking election in order to be able to hold hearings, listen to what the citizens want from county government, and formulate a document that is responsive to those concerns and will meet those needs. There have been groups who studied and made recommendations in the past, but none of them has the force of law that this one has. They were advisory, self-appointed, and had, in the end, no power to affect their recommendations. This commission is charged with placing a charter on the November 2010 ballot. Our slate has further committed to doing that, leaving no room for doubt that this will happen. I think it is important to distinguish between these 2 ballot issues. One, represented here by Mayor Zannotti and Mr. Frost, is a done deal, a document developed by a small group of people with no public input. Ours is not a take-it-or-leave-it proposition. It is a process that will include everyone in the development of a charter, a process that will take their concerns into account and that will develop a proposal in the open. When we set about the task of crafting a new form of government for our county, we do not want to be reactive or rushed, but rather deliberative and thoughtful, and we need a process that guarantees public input and transparency. The worst time to come up with a new form of government is in the heat of a crisis. When you feel betrayed, or if you feel betrayed by your office holders, you don't just throw out the entire system and pick up the first alternative that comes along. We must forge a system that will stand the test of time and serve us for many years to come. Because, as we know, once something is instituted, it is difficult to change. We must do this the right way through an open, inclusive, transparent process, and only by doing it the right way can we come up with the right solution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Harriet Applegate. Rob Frost is going next. Mayor Brewer will be last.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Thank you to the City Club, to Joe and to Sean, the Young Democrats, the Young Republicans, and my fellow panelists. Very nice to be here today. Look, I'm a native Clevelander. I hear people say that a lot in this town. And I always wonder, why is it said? Is it to try to get some kind of backhanded credibility that, you grew up here, you're going to stay here, as if somebody who weren't fated to be here would never want to stay? That inferiority complex we hear about? Well, I don't say it for that reason, at least. And I say it for a reason I think I heard best expressed recently by Mayor Frank Jackson, who I'll paraphrase here and whose sincerity I don't question. Mayor Frank Jackson said about the city what I say about the county. What happens to the people of this county happens to my family. This area right now needs confidence and hope. We have a plan. We have 2 plans put before us